Hey everyone, this is Mike from the Comic Book Trove, back today with another Omnibus review, and today I'm going to be taking a look at the recently reprinted World War Hulk Omnibus. This story is a direct continuation on from the previously reprinted Planet Hulk Omnibus. I have talked about this on the channel before, reviewed it a year or so ago now. Really love the Planet Hulk story, and then it continues, as I said, directly into World War Hulk. So throughout this video I will kind of refer back to what goes on in Planet Hulk, or at least a few key points from it a few times, just because, you know, to explain some context, you kind of have to know what goes on in here. It really is pretty much one big story, so you can't really have one without the other. You know, they just join together because it's the continuation of what went on in there. So World War Hulk I will talk about, obviously, and Planet Hulk, there'll be a few spoilers for that in there as well, so just keep that in mind, that there will be some spoilery details in here. Before we take a look at the contents itself then and see exactly what's going on in this event, let's have a look at the dust jacket. This being the DM variant cover, the Michael Turner artwork. I really like that. You know, I've always been a Michael Turner fan, and this just looks so cool with the Hulk himself obviously front and center, and then all these other characters behind him, who most of whom make an appearance in the story at some stage. But I really like that. It's just like a nice collection of Marvel characters illustrated by Michael Turner. Looks great. The spine, you get the World War Hulk logo there, obviously. And on the back, this cool bit of artwork as well. I think that's Gary Frank, legendary Hulk artist. But yeah, so madder than ever, stronger than ever. And yeah, that's pretty much true in here. So the gist of what's going on in this story, which I'll just explain a little bit about the end of Planet Hulk to set this up, as we just take a look at this wraparound image on the hardcover itself. But basically, at the end of Planet Hulk, Hulk had been shot away into space by the group of characters called the Illuminati, those being Reed Richards, Tony Stark, Doctor Strange, and Black Bolt specifically, had made the decision to shoot off the Hulk somewhere into space. The plan didn't quite go as expected. He went to the planet Sakaar, a very violent, destructive world. Against all the odds, he made a place for himself there, and in the end he was, you know, settling down with a woman he'd met and married. They were expecting a child together. People loved and respected him. Things were finally looking up for the Hulk, but because it is the Hulk, nothing good ever lasts, and obviously it ended in tragedy. And he holds the Illuminati responsible for that. So the basic premise in here is that his anger, his rage, his despair at everything that happened at the end of Planet Hulk has culminated in him returning to Earth with a few close allies that he made on the planet there. And he's come to swear revenge on the people he blames for what happened. And that's really what it's all about. So he comes back and he is just ready to destroy and smash and ruin and wreck everything and everyone who in his mind is to blame for what went wrong. So the story is very action heavy. You know, of the two, I do prefer the Planet Hulk story. I think it's just a bit more kind of different, a bit more interesting. But this is, as I say, kind of the ultimate payoff to all that. So if you want to see kind of what happens next at the end of that, and since Planet Hulk does end in such a kind of a cliffhanger kind of ending where you do want to see what happens next, naturally you progress into this, and it is a cool story. So it is something I recommend if you did enjoy Planet Hulk and you want to see the ultimate payoff. But there are a few criticisms I have of this event that I don't have so much with Planet Hulk. First and foremost, I think that being that because Planet Hulk took place on an alien world, away from the rest of the Marvel Universe, with mostly brand new original characters created for that story specifically, it meant that it was a much more unpredictable story because as the writer telling it, Greg Pak had a lot more kind of creative control over who could die, for example, who could be written in and out of the story depending on different circumstances. Once you're back on Earth here, with the Hulk coming to take revenge on all these key Marvel characters like Reed Richards and Tony Stark, to me, the stakes don't feel quite as high because at the end of the day, you know he's not really going to kill these characters. You know, as much as he's talking about that, that's his intention. He's full of rage and fury and he wants to just destroy these people. But because they're such major characters, you kind of know, even if you never read it before, that something's going to happen that means it ain't going to go that way. Now, there are some really cool fight scenes here between the Hulk and various other characters, but as I say, you're ultimately waiting to see how his plan's going to be foiled or what's going to happen that means that none of these characters are going to obviously get killed off. That's how I kind of felt about it. The stakes never felt too high for that reason. I don't know who else maybe felt the same way, but I did kind of prefer Planet Hulk for that reason, as I say, because it was able to be more of an unpredictable story that you genuinely didn't know where it was all going the first time you read it. But going into some of the details then of this story, rather than just talking about it broadly like that. So the Hulk comes back. Initially, he meets up with Black Bolt and the Inhumans on the moon, because they're living in the blue area of the moon, an area where plenty of key Marvel stories have taken place over the years. But he kind of just wrecks Black Bolt, because that's the cool thing about this Hulk. What I do really like about this is how he's just in absolutely full rage mode, but he's intelligent Hulk, but he's kind of the strongest Hulk that there's ever been, and he is taking absolutely no crap off anybody. He is not in the mood to talk. Most of these characters, they all want to try and get through to him, as they have done so many times in the past when the Hulk's gone on a rampage, and they're all kind of going, Bruce, calm down, we're here to help you, we're your friends, all this, that. And he's just not in the mood. Like, he is not listening to that kind of thing. So, yeah, although, it's probably not much of a too big spoiler to say that he never does kill off Mr. Fantastic and Iron Man or Doctor Strange. But he does cause them some suffering, I'll say that, And there's some really cool moments in here of just badass Hulk. With just kind of, as I say, he has reached breaking point and he's kind of stopped caring. These other characters as well, these Warbound characters, all of whom come across to this story from Planet Hulk. I really like this group. I really liked their story, throughout Planet Hulk, and it was great to see them come into this. All cool characters. Obviously, you get some other kind of Hulk-related characters coming in here as well, like She-Hulk and Doc Samson, both of whom have got connections to the Hulk from previous stories. Yeah, it is really fun. Like, if you want to read something that is quite action-heavy, if you just want to see the Hulk taking on a lot of Marvel characters and for the most part winning, then yeah, this is really cool. What he ends up wanting to do when he does kind of capture the key guys that he's after, so he does get a hold of Reed and Tony Stark and everyone, he starts to create within New York, I think it is, like a big makeshift gladiatorial arena that's supposed to be a lot like the one he was initially placed in on Sakaar. And his plan is to kind of like recreate the circumstances for them in which he was forced into because of their actions. That's kind of his revenge plan, is like, this is what you did to me, I'm going to make it happen to you. And you can see how you like it. It's that kind of thing. I do like how the Hulk is in this story. It's kind of just, he's not really the hero. That is not the point. He's kind of like the villain of the story, if anything. But because if you've read Planet Hulk, you can obviously see his viewpoint, so you can understand why he's as angry as he is and why he blames these characters. And it is cool to see how other characters and other people in the Marvel Universe sort of react to his actions, because we do see, for example, there's a bit where just everyday people on the street are kind of rooting for the Hulk, because they're like, yeah, what have these heroes ever done for us, my family member died in an accident, they didn't save him, that kind of thing. It's interesting. But then in the end, I think it ends a little bit anticlimactically, because you get this character called the Sentry, who, like, from very early on is kind of positioned in the story as being like the ultimate defense weapon that's going to stop the Hulk, because he's a super powerful character. So from early on, you're kind of thinking, right, so in the end, it's probably going to be this guy who comes and stops him. And yeah, sure enough, that is how it is. It's by no means easy. I mean, it's an absolutely huge fight in terms of scale, and such is the impact of it that it kind of took the Hulk out of his own series for a while. Because after this, the Hulk turned into like a Hercules series, because Bruce Banner was just kind of like absolutely wiped out. He wasn't dead, but he was literally like put underground for the foreseeable future. But this is probably as good a time as any to talk about the structure of the Omnibus, or rather the layout of everything that's in here. So this is not collected in reading order, and that will be an issue, I'm sure, for quite a few people. And it is kind of for me as well. It isn't always with these events, but there's one particular thing I think this book does that I would have changed. So the way it's structured is, initially you get a prologue, and then you get the World War Hulk 5-issue miniseries, and then you get the Incredible Hulk issues that kind of ran alongside that, because the story was going through its own series and then also through Hulk itself. And then after that, you get all the separate tie-ins and crossover stuff. And then at the very end, there's like some aftermath stuff, or after smash, as they call it in here. So I kind of think it would have been better if, at the very least, they'd kind of grouped together the World War Hulk miniseries and the Hulk issues, because they kind of fit together quite nicely. I can understand not putting in every random crossover, you know, to like interrupt the flow of the story, but it's weird to read through the whole main story in World War Hulk and then kind of go through it again through the Incredible Hulk issues, because there's about 6 issues of that, where you're seeing mostly the same events, but from slightly different perspectives, or with like little bits added in here and there to flesh stuff out. I think they could have gone together, you know, and just been interlinked. And then after that, you know, it's the crossover stuff. So if you're ever looking for a book that's in perfect chronological reading order, you know, this is not, and it, you know, it is a little bit frustrating in some respects. For me, I would say just because I would have put the Hulk issues in with World War Hulk, but it's not the end of the world, because what you can do, at least when it's presented this way, is you read the main story, and then you go through and you read, you know, other stuff that kind of fleshes out, I guess, your understanding, lets you see stuff from other perspectives. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would prefer it to just be in reading order, and I get that. Obviously, let me know your thoughts on that yourself, and, you know, whether it's something you're bothered about one way or the other. The crossovers themselves, you know, a bit of a mixed bag. The best one in here, like by far, I think, is there's a Hulk versus X-Men 3-part kind of mini story, where Hulk goes to the X-Men mansion, the Xavier school, because he's looking for Charles Xavier, because technically Professor X was part of the Illuminati, although he wasn't in the room at the time they made the decision to shoot him away. Yeah, so Hulk kind of goes to him for revenge. In fact, see pages of it here, and this kind of like escalates just fantastically well. I mean, if you're an X-Men fan, I'm sure you'd appreciate it. If you don't care about the X-Men, you probably won't like it as much. But this is cool, because it's just Hulk taking on all of them, and yeah, most of them can't even make a dent in him until the very end. Kind of culminates with Juggernaut turning up, but even then, he kind of outthinks Juggernaut pretty easily. Cool double page spread here. A lot of cool artwork in here. The main series by John Romita Jr., who's not one of my favourite artists, but does some pretty cool work in here. And then obviously a variety of other artists and inkers and everything for the rest of the stuff in the book. So you're going to see a huge variety of art styles. There's a Ghost Rider crossover thing here. The other cool stuff in here is the stuff that focuses on the Warbound. So there's like a mini series that features on them specifically, and what those characters are doing, because there are times in the main story where Hulk's leaping off to do his own thing specifically, leaving them to it. So you see like what they're doing, and then again in the After Smash stuff taking place after the main story towards the end, you kind of see what they're doing after the Hulk's been incapacitated. But overall, it is cool. Like it's a good book. It's good. It's all interesting to read through. It is something that, yeah, for the most part, I do recommend if you've you know, enjoyed Planet Hulk and never got around to reading this for whatever reason. At the very least, the main story is worth checking out. With big events like this, it's pretty much always the case that the crossovers kind of a mixed bag. Can't tell you that they're all fantastic and amazing. But again, if you really enjoy the event, as with any event really, you know, then you probably enjoy a lot of the crossovers to some extent at least. But no doubt, this is a Hulk Omnibus I'm glad to finally have in my collection. As I said, this was a reprint. There was an initial printing a few years ago, which I missed out on. So finally having this now, it feels like I've got another key part of Hulk history in the collection, and looking forward to hopefully more Hulk Omnibuses in the future. Not quite sure which one I might end up getting next. Can't remember off the top of my head which ones have been announced, but yeah, no doubt this is a key one, because for me, like my favourite Hulk stuff, you know, Peter David's Hulk right at the top, and then probably Immortal Hulk, which, you know, I reviewed that omnibus before, and then this, so Planet Hulk / World War Hulk, this whole story, probably in third place. So I have got all my favourite Hulk stories at this point, so I can't really complain too much, you know, it's all good. Anyway, let me know, because I'm interested to know the thoughts of others as always, you know, what your opinions are on this whole story, this whole saga, Planet Hulk, World War Hulk, and yeah, you know, just always happy to hear what other people think of this stuff. But as always, you know, thanks for watching this all the way through. Just as we flick my way through some of the extras in the back of the book here, yeah, Just like to say I appreciate the views as always, appreciate anybody who sticks through all these videos, watches them to the end. It's really cool. Thank you very much for that. I'll be back again soon then everyone to discuss something else. Thanks for watching.